أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, we seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of ourselves and the evil of our actions. Whoever Allah guides, none can misguide, and whoever Allah leaves to go astray, none can guide. I bear witness with no compulsion that none has the right to be worshipped but Almighty Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His slave and His final messenger. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To my Al Fitla TV viewers, my Muslim brothers and sisters. Now today I want to talk about the topic of da'wah, the importance of da'wah. It is every Muslim's duty to give da'wah to the rest of mankind. We've been given this gift of Islam. But how many of us today take this gift for granted? When we advise people on pure Islam, the Quran and Sunnah, unfortunately you get people who will call you an extremist for portraying the Quran and Sunnah. Now today, it's sad to say that the Muslims are divided. We have so many different groups, different thoughts. When Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Keep my Sunnah, you will not go astray." And now the people who did this were the companions. And then after the companions were the Tabi'een. And after the Tabi'een were the At-Tabi'een. Now, and whoever follows them till the last day, till the day of judgment. These are the people on the straight path. Now today, you see many people making their own brand of Islam. This is what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not want, but he actually predicted this as well. So the importance of da'wah is to convey the message of Islam to the rest of mankind. But why are we withholding this message? It is our duty to portray Islam in the best manner. But today we seem to be not doing this at all. We seem to be giving da'wah to ourselves and not going out there portraying Islam the way it should be. See, there's a hadith that says that to give da'wah, even if you know one verse in the Quran, say that. Now, da'wah is not all about this preaching and teaching. It's about character. Many of us today, we advise them on issues on Islam. They treat them as not being serious or as mockery. And when you advise them, they're like, we're in the modern day, times are hard, all people like this, we need to blend in, you need to relax. This is not Islam. Islam, you either implement Islam or a lot of people don't really seem to understand the importance of following the Quran and Sunnah. That's why we are being humiliated today. No one takes us seriously today. And in Islam, as I said before, our duty is to give da'wah to the non-Muslims. This is our duty. Even if for example, if you deal with a Christian, as many of us always deal with, many do not know that Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ, is even in Islam. They don't even know this. So this can be a sort of da'wah. Your next door neighbor, it doesn't matter how many times you pray, how many times you fast, your next door neighbor, on the day of judgment will say, "No one told me about Islam." Now, you spend your time in the masjid keeping this message of Islam between yourselves. Why is it that these people do not hear? No one is to blame but ourselves. And we don't want to fall into the traps of the people of before Islam. I spoke to a Jewish rabbi. I said, why don't you convey the message of your religion? Why don't you propagate it? Why don't you talk about it more? And they're like, it's not part of our religion to do this. Because they think they are the chosen people. Now, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's ummah is the final ummah for all mankind to deliver the message of Islam. Basic, it's every Muslim's duty to do this. Now in the Quran it says, in Surah Muhammad, the last verse, it says that if you do not spend in the way of Allah, you'll be replaced by people that are not like you. And isn't this the case today? Many converts and reverts come into Islam, and if you look around, most of the people in the media who are conveying the message of Islam are all converts and reverts. Not to take anything away from the born Muslims. They are doing a beautiful work in da'wah. They are conveying the message. But some of us, culture seems to overshadow Islam today. We seem to be culture first and Islam second. And the non-believers can't tell the difference, because you're showing them one side of Islam and bringing culture and making it all together and calling it Islam. This is not Islam. Now, people say that Islam is a terrorist religion, or your women are oppressed, or not. Who stands up to defend these matters, these issues? When you come to people like this, Muslims are the most just, well-mannered people on this earth. The people who implement Islam correctly, you see their manners, their beauty, mashallah, they have such great, it's unique, it's a unique character. If you meet a true Muslim who takes his deen, his religion with pride and with love, you see the true characters of Muslims. It's sad to say, many today who say they're Muslim, they say they're Muslim, but do they pray? The only time you see them is in Ramadan. And inshallah, when they come to pray in Ramadan, ask Allah to guide them and stay on the path. This could be the month where you come back to your deen. Now, there's many of us in this situation who throughout the year, we're doing whatever, we're dunya, we're about the life, we're about, making money, we're about going out, having fun, drinking and all this stuff. But when it comes to Ramadan, we come back and start praying, we start fasting. But sad to say that when Ramadan is finished, a lot of us say, "Oh, I felt like I was in prison. I had to restrain myself and I had to have certain order and couldn't do anything." But if you really knew the benefits of Ramadan, the beauty, it's a month of mercy, and to purify your soul. This could be the month where you return back to your deen. So to the brothers and sisters who are not practicing, inshallah, this can be the month where you come back to your deen. Now, as I said before, we have many issues in the deen today. As I said, we are drowning in the sea of Bidah, innovation. We seem to be comfortable with the Islam that we have today. Because if you bring the true Islam, Quran and Sunnah, this is when people will start calling you an extremist. They will, your own brother, your own people, your own Muslim people start saying, "Oh brother, you shouldn't really have that beard, you should trim it a bit." Or, you're wearing, the non-Muslims might think you're a terrorist. I don't care what the non-Muslims think. You do the Sunnah according to get Allah's pleasure, not for man. Now, a lot of us today have been influenced by Western culture, by media, by television, by magazines. You see our sisters who are flowers, we seem to be getting influenced by these people out there, and sometimes they even fall into the traps of committing zina, being deflowered. Now, who's to blame for this? Is it the media, the people? Sometimes we think about, how are they raised? How are they really protected? Are they really practicing Islam at home? Many children, mashallah, they learn the Quran and they become hafiz of the Quran. But does anyone really teach them the meaning and the understanding behind the Quran? the rules and regulations, the characteristics of how Muslims should be. It's sad to say that when you leave your children in an environment where the wolves are around, it's like leaving a sheep in a gang of wolves. What do you think will happen to the sheep when you, yes, it's got knowledge, and it's memorized the Quran, but if you see today, a lot of our youth are being influenced by their friends, by their being peer pressured, by their environment. The parents need to make sure and practice Islam so the kids follow their parents in the pure Islam. Many today think, oh yeah, I'm Muslim, alhamdulillah, I don't have to do anything now. All I do is, how many of us really reflect on the Quran? How many of us really understand what we recite? For example, we recite Al-Fatiha more than 20 times a day. Many of us have recited Al-Fatiha for over 10 years. But some of us, sad to say, don't even know what the word Fatiha even means. And they're just reciting it, Alhamdulillah, Ba'alameen, not knowing, like a layman, not knowing anything what he's saying. And it's just it's like a robot being programmed this to say it and leave and go back to whatever he was doing. Now, this is only a short video. I speak to myself before I speak to anyone who is watching, that we must give da'wah. Our duty is to convey the message of Islam. Some groups I'm not going to mention, because it is Ramadan and there's no backbiting in Ramadan. So what I'm going to say is that there's some groups who spend all this time going to Muslim locations and to bring them back to the masjid, which is nothing wrong with this. It is good to advise a brother to come back to your deen, to come back to the masjid. But to make this a part of your deen, that's what we say, whoever Allah guides, none can misguide. And whoever Allah leaves astray, none can guide. So we can go for 40 days, 3 months, a year. What benefit does it really have? If we've been doing this movement for 40 years, the masjid should be full. But we're still at square one. When it's like saying to an old dog, a sick dog, get up from your sickness. When we should be focusing on the puppies who do not know nothing about what Islam is. I'm talking about the non-Muslims. These are important. These are our brothers and sisters in humanity. If you saw, one of your brothers or sisters walking on a cliff about to fall, would you go grab them or would you just leave them and say, oh, you're alright, you're gonna fall and you might be alright? When our own Muslim brothers and sisters already know about the deen, it's up to them to seek knowledge and to find out about what the true Islam is. Today we have so many different groups, like we have Shia, we have Sufi, we have, some Sufis believe that they have their own power, that they control the universe. They give themselves God attributes. Now the Shia, some of them believe that Ali is God, or they have a trinity like the Christians do. Now this is not Islam. These groups, who do you think started these groups in the first place? It's like what happened in the times of Jesus, peace be upon him, and Moses, peace be upon him. They started deviating and they started creating their own religion and forgot about the true religion. It was always Islam, submission. Now the people today, it's happening to us today, who do you think started all this deviation? It was the non-believers who started this, and it spread throughout. So I come today to deliver a short message on the importance of da'wah, on how to give da'wah. It's important that we return back to the Quran and sunnah, the pure Islam, not the Islam according to you, accepting what appeals to you and rejecting what does not appeal to you. This is the action of the Jews, the Munafiqun. This is not Islam. We are not Jews, we are Muslims. We are submitters to the will of the Almighty God. This is what Islam means. Some of us forget about the true deen. We're only Muslim by name. We're only Muslim on Jummah, or we're only Muslim in Ramadan. Why don't you be Muslim 365 days a year, 24 hours a day? Because we're here to serve Allah. If you forget or you miss out on what your divine purpose of being here, you'll be a loser on the Day of Judgment. Our duty is most important to convey this message of Islam and to bring the rest of humanity together to worship solely the one God. Forgive me today if I've been offensive. My intention was not to be offensive. I intend to give da'wah, better the ummah, and inshallah we come back and live the golden ages of Islam. Please forgive me. I ask Allah to forgive me, for I'm only human and I am bound to make mistakes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.